All right, so before we get started, I want to remind everybody just to like, share, subscribe. Helps the algorithm, helps me. Doesn't cost you much. Just give it a little thumbs up. I appreciate that. And I'm going to be more consistent with these videos. I'm just going to get these topics out. And what I do a lot is I lurk a lot. I'm a lurker. I lurk and pay attention to conversations. And of course, I am aware of something called information bias. Um, that's the bias that the algorithm will serve you exactly the type of answers and information that you're looking for, because that's what Google does. That's what the search engines do. That's what um, YouTube does. You have to be susceptible. You have to be aware of information bias, because you can begin to go down a rabbit hole of you have a belief, and then some information comes that confirms that belief, and then continues to perpetuate that belief. You get connected with other people who have that same belief, and you start to be in an echo chamber, and you believe that everybody thinks the same way that you do, and that is not the case. And so when it comes to being online, first of all, it's too much money out here to be getting online to just be a consumer, to just be someone who doesn't participate in the daily scramble, the online marketplace. The Bible says that the harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. And this is me speaking to myself. This is me holding myself accountable, as well as hopefully inspiring someone else to hold themselves accountable in the same manner. Because again, there's a lot of information out here, and there's a lot of conversations that go on, and you have to question the the validity of it, the um, how important it is, the importance of it, the gravity of it, and everything is opportunity cost. Wealthy people, they really believe, they really think in terms of opportunity cost. This action that I am choosing to participate in, this behavior, this thought, it all starts with your thinking. This thought that I have that leads to this action, this feeling, this action, and subsequently so on and so forth. This is a trade-off. There's a trade-off in everything. It's called opportunity cost. The attention and the focus and the resources that you give, whether that be, again, just starting with your mind and then everything that comes from that, that is the resources that you give to one part of your being, part of your energy, takes away from something else. So if I'm waking up and my mind is on, for these young men out here, if your mind is just on sex, and I can attest to this as an older guy, as a guy who's been through that phase of being all about sex, all about fulfilling my desires. The opportunities that you miss out on, the thoughts that could come to you, the ideas that could come to you because you didn't show up as someone looking for business opportunities, looking for leveling up. You showed up looking for pleasure, opportunity cost. So I'm a great believer in the word says that my word will not return to me void. And so, have you ever? I'm pretty sure anybody has ever. Most of you have had an idea at some point that you thought was a great idea. You let it pass. You didn't take action on it, and then 6 months to a year, or however time frame you see that idea come into fruition. You see someone execute that idea. And it's not that they stole your idea, it's just we all are a part of a collective consciousness. We all have the opportunity to tap into the the God frequency, the ideas. That's what part of the kingdom of heaven is. The kingdom of heaven is God's ideas that he wants fulfilled out in the earth. So if you get that idea, you have to believe that someone else has that idea, had that idea, or will get that idea if you don't execute on that idea. I've seen it too many times in my life. So I am very cognizant and aware of the inspirations, the ideas that I get, how I feel when I receive them, where I'm at in life, and what space am I in, what type of energy has led me to this point. And I'm aware of that so that I can discern. And then, of course, it's just, not to make this, because I don't want to push my beliefs on anybody. I am a believer, but I don't push my beliefs on anybody else. But I'm a believer that it is my duty to fulfill these my ministry. I believe is through doing business. And so the conversations that we're having online, and there seems to be, and again, try not to I try to be aware of the algorithms, what the algorithm is serving me, and I have multiple different accounts, whether that be for Instagram or Twitter or something like that, because I don't want to get, or YouTube, because I want to keep my different algorithms fresh. I want to take notice to what is different in each algorithm. What is the algorithm serving me based on my viewing habits, my search habits, and so on and so forth. But when you start to compare different communities, different algorithms, different communities and algorithms, you can notice that there are some patterns and some overlap in communities. You begin to notice that there is a consensus in some ways of thinking. Right now, we seem to be in a gender war, especially in Black America, especially between Black men and Black women. This prevailing conversation of the gender war. A lot of it has to do with money. Honestly, a good portion of it has to do with money. Probably the majority has to do with money. Women want men with money, with resources, which is nothing new. Nothing new under the sun. Women have always flocked to men with resources. That's the way it has always been. That's the way it always will be. But there is the primal part of women too. That's why women will cling to a man who has resources, but will step out with a man who excites her primal urges as well. If you can be a man that can encompass all that, then you are a very, very powerful man. If you can, excite her primal urges, if you can excite her in the bedroom sexually, and you have resources, and you just got game. And I don't want to get into game, what game is. I can have a whole separate channel for that, as far as female male interaction. That's not what this channel is. I'm not trying to make this channel about, and I don't want to get into the gender war, but it's just a observation for me, especially as a married man. I don't participate. I'm blessed to be married, and me and my wife we marriages work, and we're working. We both are committed to our relationship. So marriage is what that's my reality. But I also understand that there is a reality for a single man out there, and I empathize with some of the single men. I empathize with the females out there as well. I empathize with anybody who's single out there. It seems like it's just like it seems like it's just a mess out there. That's all I can say. I'm grateful for having someone. And again, we know it's not perfect between us, but we have a great deal of love, and we have a great deal of uh, drive to make our marriage work. A successful marriage. That's a success. That's part of a successful life to me. That's what we value. It's what I value. What I value as far as community building starts with the family, wealth building. The foundation of that is having or if just having that someone to share that with to build that community and the outgrowth of that. But not to get too philosophical. I don't want to. But the point is the the conversations that we're having, whether you're single, whether you're coming out of a marriage, getting divorced, the conversations just have the underlying thing is about love, the greatest force on earth, love. And people don't understand what love is because I see that there is a lack of self-love. People don't love themselves, so they're seeking validation and love through someone else, what someone else can do for them to make them feel good. Um, and I believe the best way to love yourself is to first get very familiar with yourself, get very comfortable with yourself in your solitude. And you can achieve that even if in a relationship. I think that's important. It's important. Again, I don't want to make this a relationship advice. This is just overall because I speak to entrepreneurs, especially beginning entrepreneurs, but you have to understand that all of this plays a part. And a lot of people don't talk about. Um, a lot of people don't talk about everything that goes into making uh, a life, a complete life. I've noticed too many times, and I've spoke to too many entrepreneurs at later stages in their career or in their journey, and have given me wise advice. Uh, Guys who have achieved infinitely more times than you could ever imagine the amount of money and success, or success and money, however you, whatever, achievements, right? That have come to me and say, man, you don't realize how successful you are and how much of a foundation for the success that you see me have. This is what a damn near billionaire told me personally, because he knew me personally. Built a relationship, um, and he saw me with my family, and he said, man, you don't realize how blessed you are. And I'm saying this, he was telling me this, he's saying that I'm saying this as a decamillionaire, because I achieved all this, but now I'm looking back, I don't have any meaningful relationships. He had kids, but his relationships with his kids were strained, kind of strained. They were grown, but he didn't have that foundation with them growing up, so it's a little awkward. No wife. Um, you know, Everybody has a different journey, but it was just an eye opening. It was humbling and encouraging to hear someone tell me that he saw something that was he was envious of, in a sense, um, and gave me sage advice and encouragement for my journey, that he could see, so he's 20, 30 years down the road from me. He could see, looking back, like, you're right exactly where you need to be. You have the mindset. Everything is working exactly how. And we all need that encouragement. And those are the type of conversations that you should be having. Those are the type of conversations that anybody could have if you if you break out of your comfort zone, if you allow yourself to be in different rooms, if you allow yourself to break habits and allow yourself to try different stuff, different stuff, get around different people, Loving yourself starts with getting your mind right. Loving yourself starts with getting your spirit right. However that looks for you, whatever higher source that you look for. I call him God. I'm not I'm not apologetic about that, but I know everybody has different beliefs. I call him God, Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's what I believe in. That's what I stand on. That's what is at the foundation of who I am and how I operate. And you have to find that for you, but that will set you on the path to discovery in the right way, and things will unfold for you because you can't always map out everything. There's going to be so many things that come that you attract to you that sometimes were better than you could ever imagine, that were different and will lead you down the path. Um, so many things that are just off your radar screen. But you have to first, again, set the foundation, loving yourself. And then loving yourself is, and I see this is starts with the basics. I always talk about the basics. Whenever I'm teaching, I talk about keep things simple because I don't consider myself a very brilliant guy at all. I just need to know the basics. I need to know the foundation. What is the real core of what is the purpose of things, you know? I call that the basics, the simple things. That way I can understand everything else. Whatever, if you want to know, as far as like a vehicle, what needs to be fixed, I need to know what does this thing do that's getting prevented from be done. That I need to know the simple reason why this needs to be done. You know, anyway, uh, loving yourself, the simple things, your health. That's the foundation. So your mental health. We talked about your mental health, getting grounded in spirituality, whatever that is, and practical things, practical physical things. Exercising. We know the health benefits of exercising, but we don't talk about the cognitive things, what that does for your spirit, what that does for getting your mind jogging in a different direction, lubricating your mind to be able to focus on those harder tasks. Because and I can attest to this because I'm still in the corporate world, and a lot of times I can operate in the corporate world. I do have to think because I'm in tech. I do have to think, but a lot of it is kind of it's much harder to work for yourself, at least for me. And I'm a creative, you know, and that's a different part of my mind. So being able to have my mind sharp so that I could perform in the corporate world, perform for showing up for myself, perform for showing up for still showing up for my family. Um, that's not easy. That type of and not everybody is equipped for that. The pressure, the potential pressure that could bring, and that's why people get into bad habits, possibly depending on substances, dependent on the least productive dopamine hits, the least amount. The brain is always going to go for the least amount of resistance. So if I can get because we're always looking for dopamine hits. So for me, I get a dopamine hit, and I have to continuously train this because I can fall into decay, into laziness, into all the trappings that keep you from your success. I'm no different than anybody else, but I continuously work at finding pleasure in doing the hard work, getting in the flow state. And I've used techniques like Pomodoro technique, and I talk about all these things, and we provide more support in if you join my community. That'd be my Facebook, my private Facebook, my my newsletter. So all that information, I'm not going to hard pitch you. All that information is below the video. But this is get you into the way of thinking for me and for other um, successful people that I get to interact with, picking up their habits and just learning how successful people think, um, learning how to keep yourself accountable with your behavior. So again, I was saying dopamine hits of being able to get a dopamine hit from doing something productive, doing something that's hard. Taking the initiative to write that sales letter, taking the initiative to make that call, make that difficult call, taking the initiative to dive in and write the code for this particular project, or whatever it is that needs to be done that you're procrastinating on, or that could really move the needle. Those are the things we tend to avoid, and those are the things you really need to run towards and learn how to make it pleasurable. Um, because again, a mind, the human mind is conditioned to go um, the path of least resistance when it comes to those dopamine hits. So if you can get the same dopamine hit from a cigarette as you can from writing a sales letter or making a particular phone call, and a particular phone call, if you can get the same dopamine hit, but it's easier to just light up a cigarette, you're gonna light up a cigarette. That's how the mind is conditioned. That's why it takes getting in a community. So that's why I offer my community, and being able to get that motivation, get those insights that you need continuously, consistently. Get someone that can show up for you, with you, understands your journey, is probably just a little bit ahead of your journey. You might be a little bit ahead in your journey in certain aspects. That's what it's all about. Um, those are the types of conversations that need to be had, instead of these gender wars and talking about who's a simp, who's a hoe, who's a trick, who's a whatever. Who cares? Who's doing who's getting their butt ate? You know, everybody loves sex. I don't know why it's such a prevailing conversation online that we have, especially us as black people, especially the centered around. There's so much about sex, and so much about who's got money, and what man is gonna pay for your bills and what man is not. All these conversations are not productive. None of them are productive at all. It's so stupid to me, and you'd be surprised how many people are engaged in these conversations and don't have a pot to piss in. Uh, and I'm not exalting myself over anybody else. I'm still on my journey as far as money goes, but I'm not participating in those conversations like that. I know where my energy and my focus lies, and if I can find my community, continue to find those or attract those to me, that's what I have to continue to do, to show up and put this content out there. So again, I want to encourage you to like and share and subscribe to this video. I will be dropping more videos, and I promise that I'm on a mission now to show up consistently. Some of the videos are going to be like this, a little rough and raw. Don't really know exactly where I'm going, but as the spirit, I drop some gems. I will drop some gems, and I will continue to show up, and all my products and stuff are underneath here. So peace and blessings. I gotta go, and